In December 2024, Dr. Joe Dispenza did his first ever 10-day long event. In the past, he has done week-long events, and he just recently did his 50th week-long event, and he has done a lot of research in how people can change in 7 days, and so they were very curious to see how people could change in 10 days.
So we're here to share our insights about the experience.
Yes, so when we got to the event, they said that it sold out in 5 minutes. And 11,000 people were on the wait list. So those that got into the event were very fortunate to get into the event. There was 2,200 people there from, I believe, around 82 countries around the world.
That was right, 2,300 by 82 countries.
Yeah. So it was an amazing experience. It didn't even compare to the week long because those of you that may have been to a week long before, he started off different. There was 80% people that have been to an event before, and about 20, that's a rough estimate, about 20% of the people had never been to an event before, or a week-long event, and about 80% had been to an event. So knowing this, he kind of dove right in and he kind of changed things up a little bit.
He switched it up. We were both talking about that, because we've been to several events, and so we were like, man, I hope he really does something new and fresh, And he really did. He started off his introductory lecture with slides, which was unusual because he never used to do that.
Yeah.
And which I felt really beneficial because I just learn better when I'm listening and I'm also seeing. There's two different forms of information coming in.
Well, I know when I went to my first event about 2.5 years ago, he did, I guess you could call it a down the rabbit hole speech.
Yeah.
It's very similar to kind of what Morpheus says in the Matrix. And,
do you want the red pill or the blue pill?
So I really enjoyed that speech, and all the events that I've been to since, he's always done that speech.
Yeah.
And he started off, and we were both kind of ready for his speech, and believe it or not, he didn't say that speech until the end of the event. The very last day of the event, he said that speech, and it kind of was like, whoa, okay, that speech makes a kind of a lot more sense at the end. It makes sense at the beginning, but it made more sense at the end. So I liked how he dove right in, and we were even asking some people that had never been to an event before, how it was for them, if they could kind of understand the stuff he was talking about, because my first event, I was clueless. I was like on the edge of my seat with everything he was talking about, all the information he was giving. And I was trying to put myself in the place of some of these people that this was their first event. Like, are they understanding? And there was some people that were like, oh yeah, I already know a lot of this stuff and it's great. And then there's some people who are like, I'm totally lost.
But some of the things that, Dr. Joe teaches and other modalities teach as well is this collective consciousness and the elevation of the collective consciousness. And there's been some studies out there also that discuss this phenomenon where you get enough in a collective changing, then the entire collective changes, right? And there's a percentage that's associated with that.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of cool to see this in live happening in front of our eyes, because there was 80% that have already been and 20% that had not been to a retreat ever. It allowed that whole phenomenon to be revealed again in this type of a setting where the collective was actually elevating the rest of the folks that were on the outliers as far as understanding and trying to get them caught up. And I'll tell you, let's talk a little bit about the energy. We felt energy when we first landed, and it was just kind of a warm, motherly, welcoming home energy and loving. And we also noticed that it was a little bit slower in the ramp up as far as, from days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we thought maybe it was because there was an extra 3 days.
People already knew. Yeah, now what he's talking about, if you don't know about this, when some of you guys go to an event, if you've never been to an event before, I'll explain it. And some that you may have been to an event, you feel this. It feels like when you go to an event, you can kind of feel the energy of the collective as a whole. Like if it's like, wow, there's already a lot of energy and people are ready to go.
Yeah, think of a rock concert. Everybody's excited, pumped up, sitting there.
I wouldn't compare it to that because you don't want to say people are bummed out when they get there. But it's just a sensitive energy, and there's energy of different locations. There's an energy of the people, but as a whole, the energy I think became cohesive. It was cohesive, but it's kind of like it ramped up, and I almost say it was by day 7. And like he said, I think because it was a slow ramp up, it was like kind of by the end of the event that it was definitely cohesive. I wanted to stop for a minute because I wanted to also share too what the theme was when I found out this theme. So here's the shirt right here.
One mind, one heart. And I love the logo being two faces connected. It makes a heart and an infinity symbol. And then I started to notice every time we saw it, it looks like a meditating yogi or something right there in the middle. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that too. And then those of you that have never been to an event before, every event you go to, you get a shirt. I'm not sure about the progressive workshop if they get. I don't know if they do there. And then it'll tell the name of the event on the back. And something new that he did too, that he gave these to everybody. It was a One Mind, One Heart journal. And he gave like a message from him, and there was little journal prompts and stuff. So you could take notes, ask like different things that you remembered from the day. And so that was a really cool bonus to get this.
Yeah, and at the 7 days or any other retreats we've been at, he's never kind of pushed that, right?
Yeah,
he's never
write it down.
suggested it before until this retreat. At least that's my perception. I never heard him say that.
Yeah.
But at this retreat, several times he was like, journal, write it down, do something new. And you know, and I think he did kind of mention, but I've said many times on these videos and even to my close circle of friends, that when you write something down, scientifically proven, you're repeating the word you're writing many times, 7, 8, 10 times, depending on the person, as you write it. Each word you write, you're saying over and over in your head. And so it aids in this whole firing and rewiring process that Dr. Joe talks about. So no wonder why he would encourage to write it down.
You were a good student and he was taking notes. And I'm sorry, I don't know, I must have baggage around writing and journaling because I don't do it. And we recently, he has his new progressive workshop and we were doing some of that. And I forget about, if you guys have ever done his progressive workshop, if you haven't, you really should. Is a foundation of his work. Where if you're tuning in new potentials, if there's something that you're trying to get in the world, you write down the letter of it. So let's just say you want money, okay, and it's an M, and then you put like wavy line, like you draw this thing and then you write down some feelings and stuff around it, and that really, really helps to like embed it in your head instead of, okay, I really want money, this is what it feels like. It just doesn't embed it as much. And I should have taken his advice and written it down, because he said after every meditation, take some time and write down, journal. And there's some meditations I was like, oh, what happened during the night? I'm like, dang it, I should have listened to him.
Well, let's discuss maybe some of the benefits to writing down after a meditation. What I'm noticing is Dr. Joe says after many of his meditations, remember. And he talks about the reason behind that is because when you're going out of the hypnotic states of brainwave and you're bouncing back up into the beta brainwave states where you're more alert, and active, you may forget some of the aha moments, the realizations, the answers to things that you've been collectively thinking about. And that's what happens when you meditate, right? You get these downloads, you get these insights, intuitive moments, and when you jump right back into the active brainwave states, your mind can immediately go to what you need to go do, like pay bills, your job, family things, house chores, whatever. And when you do that, you could lose those aha moments and insights. So just taking a moment, even if it's shorthand or just little key notes that you want to bullet, is really helpful to jog your memory again to those feelings. Because we've had a lot of conversations, and we've had a lot of moments where we've looked back over time and we're like, we forgot that feeling.
I know, that's why I think it's good that a lot of people ask us, why do you go to so many events? And it's kind of the same thing, just like when you take notes and you write it down and you read it, oh yeah, that's right. And like we went back to the progressive, oh yeah, that's right. And this event, we didn't really talk too much about the format that he did. He really, like, those of you that have been to an event before, there's a lot of things that he didn't do because he already expected us to know that.
Lecture-wise.
Lecture-wise. Like the meditations were kind of the same, along the same lines, but we'll get to that in a minute because he did introduce some new meditations that he did. And some new things. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that. So his lectures, like any of you that have been, and you know what I'm talking about, that pineal gland dissection that he does, I'm not going to give it away for you, but He showed that on the first day.
Squeeze,
the first day. And he doesn't show
push.
that. No, not that one. The dissection. The dissection.
I know.
Okay,
I was just thinking about
okay.
the
All right. But anyway, that's something that, okay, enough already. And then so he does the breath demonstration usually at the week long. He didn't do that at all because he just kind of expected, since most of us have been to the events, that we already know how to do the breath. And like I said, the other people are kind of catching up. A lot of new information. And he got closer to the end of the week, if you will, and then the 3 days added onto that for the 10-day. And he said that he's like, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to. I guess he was kind of feeling us out to see if we were ready. But he started talking about dimensions. Yeah. And so the advanced follow-up part of, if you want, because this was kind of like a week long with an advanced follow-up hooked onto it. He didn't focus much on the molecules of the mystical. He just did that very briefly, and this is, I think, going to maybe be what he does in the new AFUs. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. The new tuning into new dimensions or something. It's kind of like changing boxes, if you're familiar with changing boxes. And we were all kind of like, what do we do exactly? And that's kind of what was cool, is it was kind of like an unknown, like what dimension are we going to? I don't want to get into it too deep because I want you guys to experience it for yourself. But it was like, we had to go to a dimension where we could learn things from. That's about all I'm going to say about that. Oh my goodness, everybody I talked to, even like his staff and volunteers and everything, were just like, I was so deep, I was lost, and it was amazing. And then he had a brand new walking meditation that we did too that went along with it. So it's a little bit like changing boxes, but more advanced about getting into a new dimension instead of a new box.
So going back to the lecture portion of the 10-day as compared to the 7-day, he still covered the whiteboard lecture that y'all are familiar with. For me, there was some new insights in that. Yeah. And I'd like to share, this whole concept of the past, present, and future. Yeah. And everyone sees that on a linear format. Yeah. And how he said this before, where it's rotated actually vertically because everything is happening now. And what was really cool about that was just that all we have to do is think the thought, because when you're truly in the void, in the blackness, it's only thoughts. It's not any kind of action. And so that was huge. That was the biggest aha for me, was just it's a thought universe. And if you just think the thought, I'm going into another dimension or another universe, right? Because that's what we used to talk about, was all universes. And he gives the explanation of the mirrors when you see the mirror into the mirror into the mirror into the mirror. And so when it came to the dimensions lecture, knowing that there is an aspect of us, well,
don't get too deep into the information. You got to leave that for them. I know, and we can talk about that, but this is for Dr. Joe to teach to us, not us to teach to them. Yeah.
There's other modalities that talk about the same thing.
I know, yeah.
Okay, well, there's many aspects of you. The person who's watching this has many aspects, eternal, infinite numbers of you. And if you had the resources and the ability to go into that dimension and pull back into this dimension an aspect of you that has already solved the problem or concern or made the success that you're looking to make in this current life, but you're having trouble making it, if you could go to that dimension and pull an aspect of you back that's already figured it out because it exists, it's there, then voila, problem solved. And that's why I think so many people were so excited about it, Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk about some of our experiences in a minute though, because I did want to cover something else that a lot of you have been drawn to his work because of the research. And that was a huge thing for this event, was the research. Because they've done a lot of research on how people can change in 7 days. Now it's how people can change in 10 days. So they did Quantum 3.0. Yep. And I was one in the study, and I get to keep my little, what is this called? Garmin band. Yeah. So they're doing, I don't want to get too much into it, but it's just they did a blood, stool, videos, and the Garmin, just so they can track us. They did something interesting. Again, I don't want to go into too many details, but they did something with the healing groups to kind of study how the healing groups kind of work together. And then they're trying to expand it worldwide, but they're kind of limited because of shipping and stuff. But they're going to do what's called a longitudinal. How do you say that word? I can't. Longitudinal
study.
basically,
there's a dimension where an aspect of you can say that correctly.
I know, right? Okay. And it's so funny because I was just thinking this at the event. Before we went to the event, I was like, they need to study the healing groups together. They need to study how people change over a year or 2 years. And sure enough, that's what they're doing. So they're going to study certain subjects. There was about 700 people that volunteered for that study, and I don't know how many they're getting for the longitudinal that word study. But they're going to study us over a year and see like our heart rate variability, how maybe our blood and our microbiome changes over a year. Well, and I'm excited to see what kind of things they come back with.
While I let your tongue rest.
Yeah, thanks.
I wanted to just throw out there that originally 2.5+ years ago when we started in doing Dispenza's work, I realized the science was so helpful, so beneficial, and that's what really drew me into this work. Cheryl saw the changes in me in my daily life, and that's what intrigued her. She's not she enjoys the science. She's participating in many of the different studies that come out.
I'm a doer. I got to be in there and get in and see.
So and seeing the science, I'm getting to a point now where I'm not going to say the science bores me, because there's so much new that can be revealed that we're unaware of. But it's just like I don't need that as much now, because I believe, I have a faith, I have an efficacy, because I'm doing it myself and I'm seeing the results. And remind me when we talk about our aha moments or takeaways, there's some things around that too, just being more inspired to do more now. But so the science, so they said something, and I want to honor this. They said that in peer published media or science articles, if it goes out before they can publish it, then it may not be acceptable. So we want to be really careful what we actually put out. So we're just really talking high level about what they studied. And the other thing that I think is really cool is that we are literally on the cutting edge and participating in the cutting edge of science around metaphysics and meditation. And we are seeing with our own eyes that it's true, it's proven correct. And then you have the science to back it up, and that just truly overlaps and dovetails with everything we've been saying, everything we've been feeling. That's what's been so cool for me, is having a knowingness, a internal, deep, heartfelt knowingness that this is right. This is good. This is good for us, good for our family, good for the world.
Good for the world, yeah.
And then I'm like, but then my head has to catch up with my heart, and then it starts doubting, and throwing in all these other things. Well, what if? And then the science comes in, and that's so helpful to overlap and just be like, oh, my heart did know, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they did 700+ people in a matter of 10 days. Like, typically a study doesn't get that many participants, number one. Secondly, it's over months, if not years. And here they're getting that large of a number, and the study concludes in 10 days, right? And so that's just really cool.
Something else that we didn't mention about the format of the 10-day was also, because we were all thinking about this, how is he going to do the healings? And so they did, if you've been to an event before, they have people that request healings, and they get 3 healings.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're like, well, what about the following 3 days? And they said everyone's getting a healing. So, so it was cool the way, I don't want to get into too many details, because again, I don't want to talk about how they do the healing so much, but everybody got a chance. Like, they split us into 3 separate groups, and everybody got a chance to experience what it was like to be a Healy. And I guess that's the whole format for the week. We can start talking more about our experiences.
I feel inclined to say this. For those of you who have never been and are really curious, just find the book Power of 8, and you'll get some insight.
That's Lynn McTaggart, I think.
Yeah, Power of 8, and you'll get some insight into the coherence healing modality, and I mean, there's some subtleties to it, but
so for our experiences there, it was very interesting. It was it's funny, I want to talk really quickly too about some things that they had. Also, some of you that have been to an event before, that the last day of the 7-day ends kind of around 2 o'clock-ish. And so they actually did that for us, where they, on Sunday, that would have been day 7, they had us end about 2 o'clock to give us and kind of the staff a little bit of a rest. And then the next morning, they had us do the walking meditation on our own.
Voluntary.
Yeah, voluntary. But pretty much, I think everybody did it. Because normally the staff and the volunteers are out there kind of making sure we're okay during the walking meditation. So they said you're out on your own, be careful, whatever. So that kind of gave us a long time period to kind of
Rest and recharge.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of people that kind of got together, went to the beach. There was people kind of dancing by the pool. They had some music playing and stuff, and that was a lot of fun. And then Inner Science and Give to Give, if you're not familiar, those are two organizations that they raise money to basically help either fund the science or to help fund the work out in the world. Yeah. They had an event called Down the Rabbit Hole. It was a fundraising event. You bought the ticket, and we were unexpected. They just said wear black, so we wore black, and they gave us like I still have it on a little bit. I got kind of a glow in the dark tattoo, and
some face paint markers.
Some face paint markers, and they had black lights, and they had, if any of you have ever experienced this before, it's a silent dance party where you wear headphones and you can tune into different stations, and
everybody,
yeah, and you might be listening to a different station than that person, but then that person is the same as you, and you're kind, and it's really cool, and it was a really cool event, and the decorations were really cool. I think there was like 450 people or something.
She looked hot.
I don't own any black because after I evolved, I was like black just like hid me, and so I got rid of all my black and navy and everything, so I had the last minute go and buy something. Oh, and that's a story. I got to tell my manifestation story. So I was thinking down the rabbit hole, wear black. Maybe it's like a Matrix-like theme. So I was like, I found kind of like this leather dress and stuff, and I was like, what do I wear on the bottom? And I was like, I was kind of looking online, and it wouldn't come in time, and I was like, oh, wow, I'd love a pair of thigh-high leather boots, and I was like, where can I get those last minute? And I'm gonna wear them probably one time. And so I was like, okay, well, Goodwill. I used to shop at Goodwill all the time. I was like, maybe Goodwill. I was like, what's the odds? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna manifest a pair of thigh-high leather boots. And sure enough, I go the very next. I did it. I went to in my meditation. I didn't even do it in a meditation. I basically just closed my eyes, and I saw me wearing them, and I saw myself finding them, and I was like, okay, I was so excited, so happy. And I get to Goodwill, and sure enough, I found thigh-high boots in my size, and I was like, and I got so many comments on those boots, and I told everybody, I was like, I manifested these. It was so awesome, because it was literally the day before we left to go to the event that I got those boots.
So that's maybe a segue, but just a little highlight that I've been learning to manifest some more fun things. Don't be so serious.
It's easier to get those little things than the big things, like, oh, I want the house, or I want the career, or something.
I don't like the word easier.
You have less baggage around that.
Okay,
there's less baggage. Yes, limiting beliefs. Okay, so let's talk about a few of our experiences at the event.
Well, let's start with the weeks and so leading up to it, right? So we've said before on this channel that there seems to be pre-event healing. I like using that word. Because every event, whether it's a couple weeks, a month, whatever, there's a varying degree. Either one of us or both of us will start to get really irritable. There'll be some things come up, whether it's physical things outside of our personal being that come up unexpectedly we have to deal with, or maybe just internally, whether it's, purging of some kind, or, just, I guess you would call it general malaise, just, things going on.
Don't scare anybody.
I'm not trying to scare anyone. I don't mean to do that. I mean, but it was just interesting. And we, because of this was a 10-day, right? And
Wait, we learned that baggage comes up because it's coming to the surface to be released.
And to use an NLP term, we reframe that, right? We know, okay, we love into that, we accept it, we're excited about it because it knows it helps us know we're evolving, we're up-leveling our consciousness.
We talk to so many people that this happens to also. They're like, all this crap just happened right before I came, and this happened, this happened.
But if you're watching this, you're ready. Just know that. You're ready. It came to you for a reason. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
And we had some friends that chose not to go after they got the ticket. And we were, surprised about that. We're like, well, let's hope they're okay, and people just choose to go either direction.
So as for experiences there, I mean, when you go to these events, sometimes you have like a really good meditation, other times it's flat. And you always hear it, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. But the first couple days, there was some things that I just could not describe, like the tuning into new potentials. I saw something, and like I felt like I knew this whole knowledge of, I can't even describe it. Like, I knew all this knowledge, but I can't even explain it. I did see some new beings that I've never met before, or some of you that have watched before. I see lots of beings. They vibrate at a higher frequency, and so we don't see them normally. But when you go to these events, you can even do this at home. I've seen them at home too, but it seems like there's more elevation, I guess, at these events that you see them, or maybe there's more of them there. I don't know. but different things like giants and the blue beans and trolls and angels and fairies, all kinds of different things like that. So
and she tells me not to scare people.
You talk to other people and people are seeing the same thing. So yeah, it confirms it in your mind that these things really happen. I mean, some of you probably have watched some of the stories of transformation, and people talk about something grabbed me, grabbed my hand, grabbed my arm. It felt like something was tapping me, or something spoke to me. So what are those things? You know, those are interdimensional beings or your higher consciousness or whatever it is. So there was a lot of tuning into that. The mystic walk for me, we did that on day 7. That one blew me away. See, that's one of those I should have written down. I can't describe the experience, but I just know that I don't want to scare people, come back to my body. I was so out there. I just couldn't come back. I even sat down at breakfast with a group of people, and they said my pupils were dilated, and I was just like, I was trying to talk. And the more I ate, I came back, but I still wasn't there. And it wasn't until we did the healing that finally, I finally came back too. It wasn't a scary feeling, but it was a very interesting thing that happened. And I don't know. And then the healing, that was a really good thing too.
All the coherence healings were really, really powerful. And I know me personally, from day 1, I was able to drop in. Usually it takes me a day or two.
Are you talking about the coherence healings?
No, just the whole retreat.
Whole retreat. Yeah, it was easy to drop in right away.
You watch my testimonial, I talk about this, and in other videos as well. It's just like, it for those who have never been, you will have an overcoming. And everyone who goes to subsequent events have a period of overcoming. And what I mean by that is, we are always in our body functioning. And when you go to a retreat, you're trying to get out of your body into your mind and your heart and just really settle in. And so as you're doing this, your body is going to try to fight against you. It's going to want to get up and do something like it's normally programmed to do. And so now you're sitting for 15 hours, whatever it is, per day. And so that could be a challenge. And so normally, I mean, it's been a slow progression for me. It used to be by day 4, and then it was by day 3, then it was by, day 2, if you will. And so it slowed down, or I mean, it reduced to the point where this retreat, I was so thankful I could just drop right in at the first day. And so that was really cool. And then getting into the blackness, I used to really struggle to get into the blackness. And then me just being in who I am and how I'm wired, I would really like try. I could just feel my whole body like tensing because I'm trying harder and harder to get into the blackness. And so it was really huge for me to just be like, I'm relaxing and I'm using my thoughts to say, I'm going deeper into the blackness. And knowing that it's a thought universe, that whole clicked for me. That thing clicked for me this time. And that really, really helped to get deeper, faster in these meditations. And, I think it was really cool. Like we already kind of teased it about the dimensions. That was huge for me, realizing that, I guess you could call it, was very empowering for me and probably for others to know that we have this at our tips of our fingers, so to speak, or just at the tip of our pineal gland, that we could go to these universes and pull back an aspect of us or aspects of us. And then like just this morning, I texted a close friend of mine because we were comparing notes against NLP techniques and these meditations, and I was talking to him about the whole dimension lecture and everything, and we were just growing our knowledge together about this. And he asked the question, he said, well, what about mental emotional release, or MER technique, which is a NLP technique for going back into our past lives or our genealogical timeline, or even in just this life, and you remove negative emotions and limiting beliefs using this technique. And I said, really? I'm not sure, right? That's what I told him then. And then this morning I texted him, I said, if every dimensionality of you is happening right now, and you can easily go back and tap into any one of those things and pull an aspect of it back into this reality or this dimension, then MER, all it's doing is going back and healing I say back because that's how the script is written.
That's how we feel, yeah.
But you're just going into all those dimensions and you're clearing out everything.
It's all happening at the same time.
To those dimensions.
Yeah,
so
and
you're
so
essentially
you remove
healing.
that one, it's healing everything that's
you're working to heal.
Past, present, and future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. So as I'm doing MER now, I'm like, oh, I'm healing an infinite number of me's around this one issue, and all those me's are thanking me in this reality.
Okay, so overall then.
Yeah, I know, right?
Going off tangents, yeah, it's easy.
Too much
it's
to
easy.
talk about.
It is, yeah.
We love Cancun, by the way.
Yeah.
Just
hands
down, as far as all the retreats we have been to, Marco Island and Cancun and Marco Island are the two of our favorites.
That is our favorites, yeah. Other people might have differing opinions, but yeah, the Barcelo is a beautiful place, and obviously you're in Cancun, beautiful water.
The staff loves the people.
Yes,
I mean, they're always
do.
applauding
really,
us when we come
every
through,
event we go to, the staff loves the people too. But yeah, beautiful place to go, beautiful energy. We love Cancun, and he has announced that supposedly. And next November, he's going to have another 10-day event.
And speaking of that, they have released 2 of the papers that we were talking about a little bit earlier in this video. When they go public with these peer-reviewed articles in scientific publishings, they will post them on the Unlimited website. So you can just go there and then click through the tabs, and you can find the articles they've published. They've published one on the effects of meditation in COVID-19. And I think they published another one that I can't remember what the article is.
With the children, the one about the studies with the children.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And that was something else really cool.
Yeah.
Is just they're seeing such profound improvement in autistic children.
Yeah.
With coherence
They've done studies, so we don't want to talk too much about that. Yeah. But they've done some study. Yeah.
But as far as the 10-day, and I want to say we teased Dr. Joe. The whole audience was teasing Dr. Joe about. Do it and one more day. Like when the event ended, they're all like, "One more day."
Didn't he mention that though about a 30-day, and then he's like, "Oh, he joked about it."
Yeah, he kind of played around with.
But then
30
everybody
days.
this week was like, "We should do a 30-day. We should do." I don't know. I mean, tired, like energy-wise, I think I was okay because I don't know. 30 days would be a lot. You are fully getting away from your environment and away from yourself and your problems. That's hard for some people because they have a job, but like a lot of people we meet go to these events have their own business and they can kind of be flexible with that. But to really truly get away for that long, and for the most part, they always say, "Oh, there's early mornings," but for the most part, I think we did mostly walking meditations, and the sun rose at 6:45, so they really weren't that early mornings.
Talk about reality shift, right? We're getting up at 4 in the morning or whatever to get there on time for the first few days, and then we're like, oh, we get to sleep in. We can wake up at 6:30. Woohoo!
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. So that wasn't too bad. So we weren't too tired in that way. But you are going all day. It's the holidays, and so my kids are like, "Oh, have you gotten any of our gifts yet, or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't at any time." It's like I was going. I'd wake up and I was going all day, and then we'd usually end about 8 p.m. I think, and it's like you go and you eat dinner, and then you're just kind of exhausted. I got to wrap up and do things for the day. So
what did
it
we
was
do?
a pretty typical 7-day event kind of hours.
A 7-day event has roughly 35 hours of meditation.
Oh, that is interesting. I'm curious.
I think we did roughly 48 to 50 hours.
Yeah,
on a 10-day.
I'm curious.
We can go back and do the math, but it was for each of the subsequent days after the 7-day, it was on average 3 meditations and on average 3 hours per day. So that's another, 9, 10 hours?
I don't feel like doing the math.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
something else that was cool that he did was, since there was so many people that weren't able to tune in, they did 2 live streams that you could pay, I don't know, I think one was like 50 and one was like 79. I don't know the exact prices, but you could tune in to the event, and he did a lecture and a meditation. So there was thousands of people that were able to do that to get, a little in on the event, see what all was going on and stuff. So.
And before we get all the way to the end, I want to make sure that we give a special thank you to all the people that we did come in contact with in Cancun. There was so many people that came up and expressed their love and gratitude for us doing these videos out there. And we told each one that we really appreciate that, not from any kind of egotistical way, but it fills us with new love and gratitude to keep moving forward and keep doing this, and we told them all that we love doing it, and that's why we do this. And I remember, 2.5 years ago sitting in Cancun talking about doing these videos, right? We had talked about
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
All I I did is I just put like the way this channel started is I just put my testimonial online because I wasn't like 100% healed. So I was like, well, I can't give them my testimony yet. And now I realize that doesn't matter that you're not 100% healed, but you get that huge chunk off of you and your life has changed. That's dramatic enough to put out something. And even if you guys have had some small change, then let people know. You don't have to feel like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm not fully healed, or, I'm not fully walking, or, I still have some of this back pain, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you feel some kind of a change in your life, then let people know. And that's all I did. And it inspired people. And they were like, well, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And so that's kind of what rolled this channel. And I feel like this event, we had so many touching stories.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there was people that are like, you have changed my life. And when you hear that, I was like, and this one lady was telling me this story, and as she's telling me, I'm like blown away, and I'm like, this is not me, this is her. I just told some stuff. I told stuff about my experience, and I don't know if you want to say it inspired somebody to want to do that. You guys are the ones doing the work. It's just like Dr. Joe says, he's just giving us the tools. You guys are the ones doing it. He's not doing anything for you.
We're just same with here. Testimony of what's possible. Yes,
and so but it is touching.
So touching.
It's so touching that how many people that we hear. I mean, just the stories of transformation, how many people's lives are changed just by watching those. And
so let's wrap up by asking you the question.
Okay.
Would you go to another 10-day?
I would, but I don't think that I could go to several a year. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, I definitely would. I definitely would go to another 10-day. I really liked the 10-day because it helped to expand us past what we already know, kind of thing. So that's why I really liked it. Because the 7 days, I don't want to say I was getting tired. It is the same information, but you usually go at them with the same eyes. But I feel like I was like, I want a little bit more. I want to go next level. It's like repeating the same class over and over again. Yeah, you're going to get some new information, but over time you're like, okay, I know this. Let's dive in some more. And that's what he did with the 10-day. And I think that's what his intentions are too with the AFUs. But I feel like he pushed us even more.
So I would also go to another 10-day, but I do now see the efficacy and the true benefit of having a 7-day and also the AFUs as well as the progressive. I think each one of those has its place. And I think each person should do their own internal assessment to see where they're at and where they should be moving towards and what they should do. And I think you and I have discussed possibly going back. I know I was talking with another volunteer friend of mine, and she's going to go back to a progressive in person.
I think I would love to do that. And they say the energy is great,
Yeah, and that's a much shorter, 2-day, 3-day type event.
Yeah.
But it's so foundational. So anyway, for those that weren't able to go and wanted to go, look forward to that coming up again. I think you said in possibly November, another 10-day.
Yep.
So it looks like that was a very good success for the group, for the company, and super stoked.
And I just want to give out a shout out. I know we talked about it, but a shout out to all of you guys that came up to us in Cancun. That was very special. And any of the events that any of you guys we've met and you've come up to us. And I know that there's some of you that were like, I'm too scared to come. And I'm like, don't even be scared. I'm just a normal person, please. Like at first I was like, what the heck? Why are these? But no, just come. I'm a normal person. Don't be scared. And we love hearing, even if it's just a hi or a thank you, anything like that. It's just, do it. We love you guys so much. And just thank you for supporting us.
So much love in your journeys.